up, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to be sipping on some tea in this video. In my warning, this beverage contains people mug. I'm a huge fan of this mug, a lot. But yeah, guys, so today we're going to be doing a video talking all about combo in Modern. I've actually already did a video talking about aggro in Modern, and I'm also going to do one talking about control in Modern. And basically, then I'm going to do a whole video about an overview about just Modern decks, and then with combo, I'm going to be doing a whole video about how to master your combo and how to be really good at putting those cards down, turning them sideways, doing that whole thing. So yeah, lots and lots of videos about stuff in Modern. Woohoo! Alright, cool. So yeah, this is an entire video talking about combo. And if we look right now on MTG Top 8, which is the website that I talked about when I talked about aggro in Modern, which I will link down below, right now, within the past 2 months, in the metagame, combo is taken up 29%. And, yeah, when I do the video talking about just the overview, I'm going to be talking about kind of like why, you know, aggro is like the most popular and stuff like that. And one of the things I think with combo about maybe why it's not as quote-unquote good or why aggro is just considered the best in Modern is simply because combo, it requires pieces. And I was playing against this guy one time and we were talking and he was drawing like a ton of cards and he's like, sometimes you can just draw a lot of cards and they're not the right ones and you just don't draw answers. And it got me really thinking that's a really good point where a lot of these decks, you know, do have a lot of card draw and stuff like that and access to their answers, but sometimes you just don't draw them, which is maybe a potential reason why, you know, combo is not necessarily the best because while you're trying to dig through your combo, they're like, I'm gonna play Siege Rhino and smack you in the face. By the way, I keep using Siege Rhino as an example, and I really don't mean to. It's just kind of like Siege Rhino. It's just like my go-to card because the card is just so good, and it's just like good in like everything. And oh my gosh, Siege Rhino is super good. Alright, cool. So, yeah, the first deck that I want to talk to you guys about, just kind of going through the list, in terms of what's the most popular right now, is talking about Twin, and everyone I feel who plays competitive Magic or who's gone to events and stuff like that, you know, who goes to, you know, you go to your local card store every whatever, and you're gonna have that deck where you're probably sick of seeing it because everyone and their mother has it and you're like, can someone please stop playing? Can everyone stop playing this deck because I want to see something different? For me, it's Splinter Twin. I'm kind of just sick of seeing Splinter Twin decks. I feel like at my local game store, I've just seen a lot of people run it and I'm just kind of like over Splinter Twin. I'm kind of just like, I just really don't like the Magic card Remand. It's just a really annoying Magic card to deal with. When I say I don't like it, I mean like I like it because it's good and it's a good Magic card. I'm just saying like I don't like it because I'm just sick of, you know, it being used against me. The card is just super good. But it was so funny is one time I was playing Bloom and I'm playing against a blue player and I was like, are you gonna Remand my Summoner's Pact? And they're like, you know, I just made you that so that I can draw a card. And I was like, wow, this card is so good. Okay, cool. But yeah, Splinter Twin has a couple of variations in terms of what you can do with color. There is Teamer Twin, which runs green for Tarmogoyf. You have your regular Twin, which is blue-red, or you have Grixis Twin, which runs things like, I've seen Inquisition, Tasigur, and what was that other card? Terminate. In terms of my feelings on which one I think is the quote-unquote best, I've seen the most popular that I've seen people, you know, do well with is just the straight blue-red. And I said this before in aggro, so I was like, you can just do whatever you want. You can, you know, play whatever deck that you think is the best. Everyone in Modern is playing the deck. Everyone just in Magic is playing the deck that they think is the best. So if you think that, you know, you feel more secure with running like a Terminate or something like that, or do that. My whole thing is I feel like the deck that has Grixis, that runs Inquisition, and that runs Terminate those are kind of like substitutes, I feel like, for the counter spells because they kind of like Hand Destruction is sort of like removal and Terminate and counter spells are kind of like the same thing. Wait, does that make any sense? I don't know if I just made any sense right there. But like basically what I'm saying is how it's kind of like in place of running counter spells, they run like Hand Destruction and they run creature removal, but I don't really understand that because I feel like counter spells, they're kind of all the same, they all kind of do the same thing. They all like stop your opponent from doing whatever it is that they're trying to do. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. I personally like the Grixis version simply because it runs Tasigur, and I'm really emotionally okay with any deck in Modern, or just any deck ever that runs Tasigur because Tasigur is just phenomenal and he's just a great card. I don't know if the deck personally needs those cards. I don't know if the deck needs Tarmogoyfs. I kind of understand why a lot of decks want to run them, because Twin, if they don't draw their answers, they can just be beaten in the face with just so much removal, I'm sorry, with so many creatures. Like, if you overwhelm them with creatures, like I've played against them with tokens before, and you just have an overwhelming amount of tokens, and they just can't deal with it, because they haven't countered your stuff, because they haven't drawn their counters, or like whatever it is, they haven't drawn their answers, and they're like, okay, you have like 10 flyers, and what do I have? But like, I have a Pestermite, and it's like, that just doesn't do anything right there, so... yeah, in terms of what's the best, I don't know necessarily what's the, like, best version of Twin. I mean, I haven't played the deck myself personally. I've seen it being played a lot, though, and all I can say is that I'm just kind of over Splinter Twin. I understand why a lot of people run it. Oh, wow, and I totally forgot to explain the Splinter Twin combo. I was totally... I'm really bad at this. Okay, I meant to, like, explain how each of these combos work, and then I meant to do that in the beginning, and I didn't. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. If you were like, I don't know what Splinter Twin does. Okay, basically, what Splinter Twin does is it basically combos off with, like, 2 cards. It runs, similarly, this card called Deceiver Exart, or Pestermite, and basically, it puts this card called Splinter Twin on them, on one or the other, and it makes infinite tokens to do you infinite damage, because the wording on Deceiver Exart or Pestermite is when a creature enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target permanent, so you constantly untap the original creature that you have to make infinite tokens. Sorry, I totally meant to say that in the beginning, and then I didn't, so I'm really sorry about that. Okay, but yeah, that's basically Splinter Twin. You know, I have a lot of people that I know who really like the deck and who run it and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just kind of sick of seeing it. That's just my whole feelings on it. It's not that I don't like the deck. It's that I think if I saw less of it, I think I would appreciate the deck more. But overall, I mean, the deck is good. It's a staple in Modern. It's like, it's one of those decks that you mentioned. Everyone knows what you're talking about. Everyone knows what Splinter Twin does, pretty much. So, alright, cool. Then we get into, I've heard this deck called a couple of things, Melira Pod, Collected Chord, Podless Collected, basically all of those sort of things. Basically, what this deck does is it revolves around a couple of really key cards. It kind of has like 2 sort of combos in the deck, which I kind of like. Actually, kind of 3, I guess, like a couple of win conditions, which I like. So basically, it combos off with running, this really key card in the deck, Melira, who's really great, and basically you can combo off with doing infinite damage with this card called Viscerseer, and Murderous Redcap to do your opponent infinite damage, or it combos off with Melira, Viscerseer, and Kitchen Sphinx, so you gain infinite life, and then you see a lot of people run Anafenza now in the mix, so you have a lot of bolster triggers and stuff like that. My personal feeling is towards Melira. I like the deck. I think it's really good. I think it's a very, I think it's a deck that I like how it has a couple of sort of like win cons, like you do infinite damage, you gain infinite life, stuff like that. I like how it has that kind of flexibility and versatility, which I think is really cool. And I think that it digs for your answers in really good ways, like Collected Company and like Court of Calling. So I think that it's just good in that sense. Like, I just think it's a sort of like reliable deck because you can search for your answers, which is really cool. And again, it runs Collected Company, which Collected Company is just absolutely an insane magic card because you can just Collected Company into your combo, and it's like, it's just so good. Like, Collected Company is just one of the best cards in Modern. Like, I think at the moment, I think it just does so much work, and it's such a versatile card where it does work in a bunch of different decks. So I'm a huge fan of that deck. It's beaten me a lot of times. It's definitely a deck that it's really good. Alright, cool. Then we get into Living End, and I've actually never faced a Living End deck before, and I really want to, because, I mean, I kind of just want, like, I want to, you know, verse all these decks and stuff like that, you know, and see them in action, but, so I actually had to do a little bit of research on what this deck does, because I'd never played against it before, so I was like, I've heard of it, but I never knew what the deck did, so I found out what it does, and it does really cool things. Basically, it revolves around, cycling creatures. So basically for like 1-2 mana, you cycle your creatures, you have that creature go to the graveyard, and then you get to draw a card off of that, which is really cool. So it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone because you get things in your graveyard which you want, and you also draw cards, so you can draw your answers, which those are 2 things that you want to do in the deck, so it's really cool. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And basically it cascades into this card called Living End. Hey, look, there's the name of the deck. And basically you bring back all those creatures that you cycled, and you just do big scary things. So I was like, this is a really cool deck, and I want to know more about this, and I want to do more research, and I want to watch this deck in action because it just looks really sweet. My whole thing though is, you know what, every deck that you play against is going to have a flaw. It's just going to happen. You can have the quote-unquote best deck, your deck's always not going to perform. And I think the one flaw in this deck is I think that it revolves a lot around your graveyard. And I feel like right now, it was so funny, as I was looking up, I don't even remember, I was looking up one of these decks and I was looking at a forum from 2011 and they were talking about how like, oh yeah, like graveyard decks in Modern are so not a thing right now, and I like laughed because I was like, it's 2015 and how much of the meta has changed where so many decks rely on cards from their graveyard. Like, you know, this is a whole deck that revolves around your graveyard, so it's like, I don't know, it's just crazy like how things like change, you know, so easily, but and just like over time. So I thought that was really interesting, but I think that, you know, in looking at the decks right now, a lot of them do revolve around the graveyard, so therefore in sideboard you're going to see a lot of graveyard hate decks. A card like Rest in Peace just shuts them down. Rest in Peace just shuts a lot of people down in Modern. It's a really good sideboard card. But yeah, I mean, that's like the whole thing about Living End. I think it's cool. I think it's a really sweet deck list. I'd really like to play against it and just kind of see, you know, what it does and how it plays and stuff. So yeah, cool. Alright, awesome. Then we get into Infect, and I'm actually really confused as to why Infect is considered a combo deck on this website. I was really confused about that. Like, it was so funny, is I was on Facebook the other day, and Craig Wesco posted, this whole list of like the top 15 decks in Modern. I'm pretty sure Infect was listed as combo. I'm not exactly sure why. I kind of understand it because it's like you need to quote unquote like combo with these different cards so that you can do, you know, more Infect damage, so you're not just swinging with a 1/1 every turn. So I guess it makes sense that you're comboing with, you know, other cards, but I don't know. I don't really know why Infect is considered combo. That confused me. But basically Infect basically revolves around you know, this whole thing about like getting your opponent up to 10 infect counters, so therefore life totals in your game are, you know, really don't matter too much. I just got a Facebook message from one of my friends who started playing Magic like 2 months ago, and he's like, "Hey loser, when are you gonna come beat me in Magic?" I just thought that was really funny. Okay, Infect, yeah. So, yeah, basically it revolves around, playing, basically a 1/1 Infector, which doesn't really look like it does too much, and basically pumping them with different, spells, something like Become Immense, things like that, which, yeah, it's really cool. It's a pretty, like, I hate using the word easy, but it's a straightforward deck. It's pretty much, that's the objective, is to kill them with Infect damage. That's pretty much it. By no means I would say easy, though. And my whole thing with the deck, and when I was looking through a couple of deck lists, I noticed and I started to realize just how important Spellskite is in this deck, because the thing about the deck, and I think the flaw in Infect decks, is that it revolves a lot around one creature. So if you have a creature and they like Path to Exile it or something, and the deck only runs, well, Noble Hierarch doesn't really count because it doesn't have Infect, so we'll just not even count Noble Hierarch, but it runs it runs 12 creatures. So like if you're just not drawing your creatures, you know, it can be very like, you know, or someone, you're playing against Hand Destruction and they play Inquisition of Kozilek and they take away your only creature, and you're like, I don't have my Ink Moth Nexus, so I don't have even a land that's gonna, you know, help. So I don't know, it's just, to me it seems a little bit too rocky, and I think that if you're going to be running this deck, like I think if I were to ever construct an Infect deck, which I'm totally not going to, but if I ever did, I think I would definitely need Spellskite so that they get rid of the Spellskite, because I feel like it just, any deck that really has like a lot of, I mean, basically Modern you're going to be running removal, but like if you know, any deck that's really going to like play like Path to Exile or like Maelstrom Pulse or like anything like that, it's just going to really shut you down if you have only one creature. So I think that can definitely be a flaw of the deck. And it doesn't have flying, which if you're playing against like tokens, you know, that's the thing. But yeah, okay, that's that. And next deck we're going to be talking about is Scapeshift, and basically what Scapeshift does is it revolves around this card called Scapeshift. You basically dig for lands. You spend a lot of your turns, you know, digging for lands and stuff like that, and then you play this card called, I feel like I'm gonna say this wrong, but Valcut, I totally said that wrong, the Molten Pinnacle, basically, and you play that, you sack all those lands that you fetched for, and then you play a bunch of mountains, and then it's pretty much just an instant win. And how do I feel about this deck? I think that definitely a flaw in this deck can be, you know, while you spend your turns digging for lands, your opponent says, that's really nice, I'm gonna go off and play Primeval Titan and do like 20 damage to you on turn 2. So you wasted 2 turns doing digging for lands, and they've just killed you with 20 damage. So like, and again, like I said, every deck is gonna have flaws. Every single deck, you know, is gonna have those things. So I think that, you know, if you can get going, but that's like any deck that has a good hand, you know, can absolutely go off and stuff and do their whole thing. But I don't know, to me it just seems a little bit too, you know, you're fetching for lands and they're like doing you lots of damage, and you know, but yeah. Okay, cool. Now we have a Storm, and I like Storm a lot. Like, I feel like if I ever, that's a lie, if I built a Legacy deck, I'd probably first want to build Elves, but I think my second choice would be Storm. I feel like Storm is just a better deck in Legacy. The same with Death and Taxes. I think it's just better in Legacy because you have access to more cards, compared to Modern. I feel like, I don't know, my friend Lee has a Storm deck, and I'm like, I like it, I just think it, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been spoiled with Legacy and just kind of seen the deck in Legacy, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, I don't know, being able to kill someone on turn 0, I mean, given Legacy is a totally different format, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like Storm. I feel like the thing about Storm, though, is I feel like you can mess up, I think, very easily. You know, like, and I feel like with all these decks, with all these combo decks, is with something like Splinter Twin. Splinter Twin is again, I hate using the word easy, but Splinter Twin is literally like, I'm gonna play Deceiver Exarch, I'm gonna counter your stuff, I'm gonna play Deceiver Exarch, and then I'm gonna put a Splinter Twin on, and that's it. Like, it's not really that, like, it's a pretty linear thing, right? But I feel like with Storm is a lot of, like, doing damage here and doing, like, a lot of math and stuff like that, so I feel like it can be very, like, complicated. And, like, I definitely think that Storm is I think Storm is probably one of the hardest decks to play. It's not one of the most popular ones, too. Like I said, I feel like it's one of those things you just hear about in Legacy. So, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're gonna build Storm, I mean, I think I'd just do it in Legacy. I just think it's a better place for that sort of deck. And I think that's okay. Like, I think there's a lot of cards that I think fit better in, you know, certain formats and stuff like that, you know, anyway. So, I think it's fine. Okay, and last, but certainly not least, and I actually put if you want to see, I put a little heart next to, in my notes, I put a little heart next to Bloom. Oh, we have Bloom Titan. Whoa, what was that? I just, like, threw that. Alright, next we have Bloom Titan, yes. So basically, the whole thing about Bloom Titan is, this is an awesome deck. This is a sweet deck, and I'm gonna refrain from saying a lot about it because I have a Bloom deck and I love it. Which, by the way, let me tell you guys a story last night. So last night, I had a really weird night. Like, I was hanging out with my friends. I went to a flea market, by the way. I got a bunch of Catwoman comic books. I read comic books, by the way. I never mentioned that in my videos, but comic books are really sweet. I may do some comic book videos, like, in the future, but I don't know. I'm a fan of magic. I got this Lego Harley Quinn, and this makes me really happy. Like, I love Harley Quinn. She's, like, my favorite, like, superhero villain. Like, I don't like calling her a superhero because she's not a superhero. She's, like, a supervillain, kind of, you know, I don't know. She's awesome. I love Harley Quinn. But anyways, so I went to the flea market, and I had a weird night. Like, I went over to this card store, and no one showed up for Magic, and I was really bummed because I really wanted to play Modern. And then there was this one kid who was like, oh, we'll play for fun. And I was like, okay. So he was really weird and rude and made a bunch of really offhand comments. And he told me that my Bloom deck was all over the place, even though I beat him with it several times. And, like, I don't know. And then I was, like, thinking about the deck because I said this before because I talk about Bloom a lot because it's, you know, it's my main deck that I play in Modern. But I'm not doing the typical Bloom deck. I'm running a different version of Bloom. And, I don't know. Like, it was just really weird and rude, and I don't know, he was a weird person to play against. Okay, I don't even know why I went off on that tangent, but the real thing is that Bloom is really sweet. Bloom can win in 2 different ways, which is awesome. The first way that Bloom can win, the hive mind route, as you will, is Bloom will play this really awesome magic card called Hive Mind. And basically it combos off with a couple of the packs, Summoner's Pact, Slaughter Pact, and Pact of Negation. And basically it says that you play the pact, and then on their upkeep, they can't pay for the pact because they don't have the right mana for it. They don't have the right colors for it to pay for it. So therefore, or they don't have enough mana at all. So they just lose because they can't pay for it. So that is one way that you can kill someone with Bloom. Another way you can kill someone is, and that's why I feel like the deck kind of has like 2 sort of combos, if you will, is it runs the bounce lands, and then it runs this card called Summer Bloom. So basically what you do is you have Amulet of Vigor out, which says that whenever a permanent you control comes in tapped, you can untap it. So basically you play that, and you play these bounce lands, and you bounce land, and you have a bounce land, and you tap 2 mana for it, and you play Summer Bloom. So you generate, once you tap say you tap so basically, you tap the 2 mana with your bounce land to play Summer Bloom. You float the 6 mana because when you have to bounce a land back when you have the bounce land. So you generate 6 mana and you play Primeval Titan. And then from Primeval Titan, you are most likely going to grab Boreal's Garrison, Slayer's Stronghold. You give it +2/+0 haste and vigilance. You swing for 8, you get the trigger with Primeval Titan, you grab 2 other lands, and you play the lands, and if you have 2 amulet outs, you can do 20 damage, which is sweet in 1 turn. Most likely the deck, like, will win about, if you have, like, all of those pieces in your hand and you don't have 2 amulets out, you can win turn 3, I've won on turn 4 before and stuff like that. Bloom is sweet. Like, it's just such a fun deck. It's a very difficult deck to play. It's one of the most difficult decks in Modern to pilot, but it is so rewarding. Like, there's just nothing better than, like, killing someone on turn 3 when they haven't done anything. It's just amazing, and it's sweet. But basically, my version of Bloom is different. I'm actually not running Hive Mind, so I'm not even running that piece of the combo at all. I prefer to combo off with this really sweet card called Tooth and Nail. I'm actually probably going to be running an Emrakul in the deck so that I can Xenagos Emrakul, Xenagos Emrakul win, because, like, how do you win if I resolve that? You probably can't win. So that's really sweet. So I think I'm going to be doing that. I think I'm going to be throwing in an Emrakul. But yeah, like, my version of Bloom is different, and I really like it. But yeah, okay, why I told you the story was because the guy told me that my deck was really a mishmash of cards. And I was like, listen, man, my deck works, and it does cool things. And, like, I don't know, and it got me thinking that, like, and I'm going to do a whole video on this because, one of my friends commented, because I posted about this on Facebook, because I, like, rant about Magic all the time on Facebook, and one of my friends commented and just said, you know, like, the fact that your deck list is different and that, like, freaks people out because they're like, I don't know your deck. And it was like, I don't know, it was just an interesting point. I'm gonna do a video, like, talking about that and stuff, like, kind of like homebrew decks and, like, changing up decks and stuff like that. Because my deck's, like, worked out pretty well for me. I've been doing, like, pretty alright with it, so I'm really happy. But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, guys, so that was it. That was all about combo decks in Modern. I said this before, if you want me to do an entire video talking all about, like, cards and stuff like that in these decks, you know, you can absolutely do that. If you were like, I want you to do a video talking all about Splinter Twin in depth and stuff like that, I will totally do that. Even though I don't really like Splinter Twin, I will do it for you guys if you want me to. Like I said, I hate, like, it's just because I've seen Splinter Twin a lot, okay? It's not like I hate the deck, it's just that I'm, like, sick of seeing it, so. Alright guys, that's it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day / night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in my next video.